What's happening, everybody? Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel, the Victory Formation Sports Show on this beautiful Friday. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we post all the time. Now, it's going to be a beautiful day because we are going to talk about all things Super Bowl 55 ahead of the big game on Sunday. Be sure to leave your comments because we're going to be interactive in this chat. Let me adjust some settings really quick, and we're going to get things started because we have a good one, guys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have not won a Super Bowl since 2002. But in 2002, or since 2002, they haven't had a young man by the name of Tom Brady as their quarterback as they do this season. So be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. Now, it's going to be a great one. It is going to be a great one because, like I said, it's the Bucs versus the Chiefs. It's the GOAT in Tom Brady versus the baby GOAT in Patrick Mahomes. It is Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowls, 9 appearances, all with the Patriots, but in his first year at age 43, taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Super Bowl. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, the defending Super Bowl champion, an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP, and all before the age of 25, looking to repeat and looking to be the first player in the NFL to be a 2-time Super Bowl champion and a league MVP, all before his 26th birthday. It is so crazy. It is so crazy that he can actually do this. The last guy to do this was Emmitt Smith back in the 90s. So we're talking almost 30 years ago when the last time there was a 2-time Super Bowl champion who also had an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. So it is going to be wild. Yeah, I see somebody saying Steelworks perspective. Brady's the GOAT. Brady is the GOAT. We're as far as quarterbacks go. You know, I only give so much credit to the quarterbacks. Some of the best football players I've ever seen aren't quarterbacks. And Patrick Mahomes black. Absolutely. You know, we always going to root B1 all day. Put your B1s in the chat. Now, so here's the thing. Who is the actual better team? I remember yesterday we talked about the Chiefs in the Bucs roster, right? Like we talked about how the Bucs actually have a better roster or better players than the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs have Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Those 3 are your top 4 players in this game. You got Mahomes, then Brady, then Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. So that's how it goes, your top 4 players. But then after that, it's a run of Bucs. There's Mike Evans, there's Antonio Brown in there somewhere, Devin White, Jason Pierre-Paul, Vita Vea. Like all of those guys are in there after the first couple of Chiefs. And so you have it balances out. But when we break down the actual units, which teams, like what units are better? So let's talk about the offense. I got a bunch of like chicken scratch notes here, and I'm here to break it down. So on the offensive side of the ball, obviously the Bucs have Brady. They have a pretty good offensive line. They have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette in the backfield. And then on the outside, the weapons galore. From Gronk to AB, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, who's become up pretty clutch. So they have a really good unit. Shout out to my mom in the building right now. Shout out to my mom. So then you look over across the ball, you have Patrick Mahomes. The running backs aren't as good. You know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell. But on the outside, you have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Sammy Watkins. It's really hard to say that the Chiefs as a unit are a better offense than the Bucs. Like, am I wrong? Leave me in the chat if you think so. It's really hard to say that the Chiefs are a better unit than the Bucs. But the Chiefs have a nuclear weapon. That is Patrick Mahomes. There isn't a quarterback in the NFL that's better than Patrick Mahomes. So when you have that nuclear weapon, you're allowed to you're going to get the offense. You got to go with the Chiefs offense simply because they have Mahomes, simply because Kelce and Tyreek Hill are unguardable. I've seen Mike Evans getting taken out of games. He's not going to get taken out of this game, but I've seen him getting taken out of games. It's hard for me to find a game that Travis Kelce and or Tyreek Hill were completely shut out. It's like impossible. I can't find it. Send it to me if you got tape, because I can't find it. But the Bucks are playing really good ball right now. Besides the 3 picks that Brady played through last time, I don't trust me. Don't expect Tom Brady to throw 3 interceptions in this game. And there's no Jaire Alexander for the Chiefs. There's no Jaire Alexander for the Chiefs. The Honey Badger's really good. He ain't Jaire, who caught 2 picks on Brady last week. So moving on. The defense. Now, this goes to the Bucks easily. I don't care what you're talking about. The Bucks have the better defense. Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, Levante David. Now, Carlton Davis got 8 up last time for 270 by Tyreek Hill. Carlton Davis got 8 up by 270 yards last time they played by Tyreek Hill. 200 of them came in the first quarter. But I still am going to rock with the Bucks defense. So it's 1-1. We have last but not least, and we can't sleep on this, is the special teams. So we got one person going with the Bucks. Shout out to Mason. Shout out to Eli. He said, I'm going with the Bucks because I'll never bet against Brady. And that's the thing. Too many times folks have bet against Tom Brady and it's come back to backfire him. Me included. I have said Brady was washed up before the season. After last season, I thought he was done. I really didn't think he had what he had in him this year. So it's kind of crazy to see him come back age 43 and throw for 43 touchdowns. Or 40 touchdowns. That's just insane. And to be back in the Super Bowl with a brand new team in his first year. So yeah, it's hard to bet against Brady. I'm not here to tell anybody they're wrong for doing that, because if I was a betting man, I dang sure wouldn't bet against no Tom Brady. But anyway, moving on. So the special teams unit. I got to give the special teams unit to the Chiefs. Kansas City, I've seen McCole Hartman make plays back there. I've also seen him fumble a punt. We just saw that last time they were on the field against the Buffalo Bills. But he is so explosive. He is so electric when he's returning punts. At any moment, he could mess up and fumble, but he could also take one to the house. And special teams might be a unit that comes into play during the Super Bowl. Why? Because during this game, we're going to find out pretty early what is the mindset of both coaches, particularly what is the mindset of Bruce Arians. And he's not one to be scared. He's pretty aggressive. And we know Andy Reid and the Chiefs are really aggressive. And that is going to why this Super Bowl matchup is so entertaining. What do I mean by being aggressive? Well, field goals aren't going to win you this game. The Chiefs average 32 points per game during the time since Patrick Mahomes has been the starter. So essentially, Patrick Mahomes during losses has averaged like roughly 34 points. Think about that. So in losses, he's averaged 34 points. So if he averages 34 points in losses, that means the teams that have beaten him have scored 35 plus average. They've averaged over 35 points per game in wins against the Chiefs since Patrick Mahomes has been the starter. So therefore, field goals aren't going to win you this game. Why does that play a factor? Because last time the Chiefs were on the field, we saw the Buffalo Bills settle for a bunch of field goals. They settled for a bunch of field goals. That is what cost them the game. Last time we saw the Bucs on the field, we saw a Green Bay Packers team that settled for field goals, that weren't aggressive. In the same game, think about this. In the same game, we saw Brady and the Bucs go for it on 4th down before the half, got him a touchdown. And then over on the Chiefs side of the ball, we've seen them be aggressive, go for it on 4th down against Cleveland to cement the game, when Cleveland could have easily gotten the ball back and scored a touchdown and won the game in the playoffs. So being aggressive is something that these teams are going to be. Kicking field goals is something. The kickers this week, the kickers this game should have an easy day. It should be a bunch of extra points, because I don't really have that much faith in either defense against said offense, and field goals aren't going to win you this game. So if you go into this game trying to kick a bunch of field goals, trust me, you're not winning. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Think about it. You have to score over 35 or more to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs historically. We've got 2-3 years of data now. We got literally 3 full seasons of data that shows you field goals don't beat this kid. Field goals don't beat this Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy offense. So that's why the special teams has to go to Kansas City. Because if Tampa Bay relying on kicking field goals, and Brady's not dumb. Bruce Arians, he's over 60 years old. They're not dumb. They've been in this league for a very, very long time. They understand what it's going to take to win this game. It's going to take a couple turnovers. It's going to take the defensive line having a really good game against a Chiefs offensive line that's decimated. We're talking about 3 starters gone from the Chiefs offensive line. 3 starters. So they're playing 3 backups. Offensive line is decimated, and Tom Brady running the show over on the other side. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. So I want to touch on Tom Brady and why I said, and we touched on it a little bit, but he's 6-9 in Super Bowls. So he's been to 9 Super Bowls. He's won 6. That's almost a 70% win percentage. Guys, that's insane. 70%, winning 70% of your Super Bowls, which will be 70 on the nose if you win on Sunday. I don't think that's something we'll ever see again. Because think about what he can do on Sunday. On Sunday, he can win his 7th Super Bowl, which will be more than any organization in the history of the National Football League. Think about that. This will be Super Bowl 55. So let me get, because I'm not the best math person. This will be Super Bowl 55. And in 55 Super Bowls, potentially, he will have 7 wins. So one player, 7 Super Bowls in only 55. So that's what? So in almost 13% of the Super Bowls Tom Brady's won? And you got to think, he's only been in the league. So he's won 13% of the Super Bowls, but he's only played in 21 seasons. So he's only gotten 21 chances. So instead of 55, it's really only 21. And in 21, he's been there 10 times. So that's almost half his career. And then in those 10 times, he could potentially have 7 wins, which is 70%. It's insane. That's insane. Like when you really sit there and dive into the numbers and how great this man has been over the course of his career, it's literally insane to say that the man in 21 seasons has been to 10 Super Bowls and could potentially have 7 wins. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. If not, it's going to be a very, very long time. Now, one thing that's been talked about this week was this GOAT debate, right? Like, because Patrick Mahomes is on a trajectory we've never seen before. He's winning at a rate that's just insane. Shout out to Ronell Morris out of Chicago. He's winning at a rate that's insane that we have to talk about it. And we have to put him in the all-time greats because you can't really compare him to the guys that are playing right now, right? Like you can't compare Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson. You can't really compare him to Josh Allen. He's too accomplished at this point. Like he's lapping with his numbers and his accomplishments. He's kind of lapping those guys right now. You can't compare him to Baker Mayfield. You can't compare him to Justin Herbert and a lot of these Kyler Murray, a lot of these younger quarterbacks. So you have to compare him to all-time greats. You can't even compare him to guys like Russell Wilson and Drew Brees anymore because he's done more in 3 years than what a lot of them have done over the course of their career, 20-year careers. Thank you, Ronell Morris, for sharing. And so the only person you're getting to compare him to is the Montanas and the Bradys because of what he's been able to accomplish before the age of 26. And it's insane. But one of the things that was a topic this week, be sure to hit the like, share, subscribe. One of the things that have been a topic this week is can he pass Brady? Can he pass Brady on the GOAT list if he loses this game? Can he really be considered the greatest of all time if he loses this game to a 43-year-old Tom Brady? Now we know this is a team sport, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we love to discuss individuals. Like all of these sports are team sports, right? Basketball is a team sport, football is a team sport, but we love to discuss the individuals because the individuals give us the story. It's not necessarily the team all the time, it's the individuals. And the question is, can he pass Brady if he loses to Brady this Sunday? Shout out to my boy Mason. He says if Mahomes wins on Sunday, we can put him in that debate. I think we can put him in that debate already. The man's 25, has been to 2 Super Bowls, has a league MVP, and has a Super Bowl MVP. It's kind of tough. Now, if he wins on Sunday and racks up another Super Bowl MVP, yeah, he's firmly in there before the age of 26. Now, we know anything can happen. Football is a dangerous sport. We know anything can happen. But we have to be – but, for the trajectory and the position that he plays, we can kind of guess that he's going to play for a very long time and the way this team is orchestrated and built. But anyway, can he pass Tom Brady if he loses this game on Sunday? Now, some folks are saying absolutely he can because we're watching it in basketball. Michael Jordan won 6 championships. Michael Jordan was 6 for 6 in the NBA, in championships, in NBA finals. And he has been the long-standing GOAT up until LeBron James came up in the ranks. And although LeBron only has 4 championships, he's been to the finals more than Michael. He's been there 10 times, but he only has 4 championships. Some people, like myself, consider LeBron to be the GOAT over Jordan. That's the comparison that's being used, but that's wrong. Because 1, Bron is better than Jordan, but 2, but that's not why it's wrong. The reason why that is wrong and the reason why that's a bad comparison in this instance is because Bron never played Jordan in the finals. Bron never played Jordan in the finals. So for us, the idea of Bron playing Jordan is just hyperbole. It's just us believing Bron, if he saw Jordan in the finals, would outperform him. And if the teams were even, he'd beat him. See how I did that? If the teams were even, because Jordan never lies. But LeBron's lost. But a lot of times those teams weren't even. But anyways, so me, guys who believe Bron is better, I can hold on to that because I never witnessed Bron lose to Jordan and win the game mattered the most. So when I make my rants and stuff about why Bron's the GOAT and all this stuff, I can never compare it to a finals loss to Michael Jordan, to his airness. And it has some validity. But if you actually lose to that person, that argument kind of goes out the window. Because and then you can say, well, the teams are better, blah, blah, blah. In this case, the Chiefs are the favorite. So the reason why that argument, Patrick Mahomes can't be considered the GOAT if he loses to Brady this Sunday. I'm with those who say he can't. He can't. There's no way. Because with our eyes, and then in history books, for the ones who are watching football who are too young to really remember Brady's first couple of championships, in our eyes, we will always be able to reference Super Bowl 55. When people say Mahomes is better than Brady, Mahomes is the GOAT and stuff, a lot of folks, including myself, I'll be on this stance. We'll be like, well, man, back in Super Bowl 55, these guys played head to head, and Mahomes was the favorite, and he lost that game. So how can your GOAT be better than my GOAT when they lost? He lost to my GOAT in the game when your GOAT's team was better or was the favorite and the defending champs. And he was 25 and my GOAT was 43. It's going to be hard to make that argument. What's a better comparison, and I heard this one, I'm going to give it credit to someone else because I didn't create it. A better comparison is Jordan versus Magic in the 91 finals. That's a better comparison. It was an older Magic, but it was a Magic some people at the time still thought was the GOAT over Jordan. They were still holding out this glimpse of hope that Magic Johnson during his career was better than Michael Jordan. I mean, I wasn't alive when it happened, but my dad and other folks would tell me we still thought Magic was better. And then we saw Mike play against Magic, and it was over. It was over. We knew this is the best basketball player I've ever seen. I probably already knew it, but subconsciously I just wanted to hold on to Magic being better simply because Magic was on my favorite team. Magic was the person I grew up with. Magic was the guy I've always seen as better. But then we saw Mike come into that finals. Not only did he beat Magic head-to-head, but he dominated. He dominated that finals. That is a better comparison because after that, moving forward, Michael Jordan, even with just one championship, Magic had 5, Bird had 3, Kareem had 6, Bill Russell had as many as he wanted. People said Michael Jordan was the best basketball player they ever saw. And it was solidified because he played at the time, some folks GOAT head-to-head and dominated. That is what can happen for Patrick Mahomes to a certain extent on Sunday. He can inch that much closer to being considered the GOAT of football all time with the win over Brady. Even though Brady's 43, the win over Brady on Sunday, he can inch that much closer to being considered the GOAT of all time with the win. But he can never be considered the GOAT if he loses on Sunday. It wouldn't make sense. Losing to a 43-year-old quarterback head-to-head who's already considered the GOAT. Brady's already in the catbird seat. He's already winning. So he can never be considered the GOAT if he loses. But speaking of all that, hit the like, share, subscribe button. Hit the like, share, subscribe button. Speaking of all that, now I'm here to give my prediction. I told you guys that Patrick Mahomes has averaged over 32 points per game as the starter of the Kansas City Chiefs. In losses, he averages over 34 points per game. So that means teams that beat Patrick Mahomes historically have had to score 35 or plus. They've averaged more than 34. Patrick Mahomes has won 25 of his last 26 football games. He lost a game this year, but outside of that, he hadn't lost a game in almost 2 years. 25 of his last 26 football games. I'm not picking against that guy. I understand that Andy Reid has waited his entire football career for these last 3 years till he got a quarterback that was this talented. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy continues to get screwed by the NFL, but hey, it is what it is. But Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy have had 2 weeks to prepare. Andy Reid historically is one of the greatest coaches coming off bye weeks. He has had 2 weeks to prepare for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with the young kid to defeat the old man, Patrick Mahomes, over in the Kansas City Chiefs, over Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not an easy decision. I'm not going to put any money on this game. The line is like 2.5 anyway, so it's a dead man's bet. It's a dead man's bet. I'm going to just be honest with you. But I'm going with the kid Mahomes over Brady. I think the score has got to be high. But I think the Chiefs, obviously the Bucs' number one concern is going to be stopping Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill lit them up for over 270 receiving yards in their last game. That's not going to happen again. Their number one concern is going to be Tyreek Hill. The only problem is Mahomes has a guy over at Travis Kelce who's trying to place himself in NFL history as one of the greatest tight ends to ever walk the planet, and he's actually facing the greatest tight end ever on the other side of the field, and I'm sure he knows that. So I'm going with the Chiefs. I think it'll be 38-24. Ooh, I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. No, let me take that back. Ooh, scratch that. I think it'll be 38-34. The Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. They will be the first back-to-back champion since 2004 when Tom Brady and the New England Patriots did it. I think Mahomes will have his second Super Bowl and second Super Bowl MVP in as many years. I think the man before age 26, for his 26th birthday, will have 2 Super Bowl MVPs and a regular season MVP. He's been to 3 straight AFC Championship game, 2 straight Super Bowls. I think him and Andy Reid get the job done. And they have a legit case to try to run it back and do a 3-peat next year. But yeah, I'm going with Mahomes and the Chiefs over the Bucs. Leave in the chat your predictions, your score prediction, who you think's going to win. Leave in the chat who you think's going to win Super Bowl 55 between the Bucs and the Chiefs, the GOAT versus the baby GOAT, Andy Reid and versus Bruce Arians, Eric Bieniemy versus Todd Bowles. It's going to be a great one, guys. Be sure to leave your Super Bowl prediction in the chat. And I want to talk about really quick before I move completely off the Super Bowl is the Weeknd and his halftime performance. So the Weeknd is the performer for halftime at Super Bowl 55. The Weeknd, as we know, has had a hell of a career trajectory. He started off as like this homeless, just crazy singer out of Canada that linked up with Drake and helped Drake produce one of his greatest albums in his best album in a lot of people's mind, Take Care. The Weeknd said he wrote like 90% of it, which doesn't surprise anyone because we've heard the reference tracks and all that stuff for Drake. But he is someone that's really a pop star now. Like he's got this Blinding Lights and this last album that was like super pop and like in a totally different direction than he was when he first started. But I wonder if we're going to get any of that House of Balloons or that the Trilogy weekend this weekend, this during the Super Bowl halftime performance. I'm curious. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Do you think we're going to get any of that House of Balloons, Trilogy? What's my favorite Weeknd album or one of them? Any of that type of Weeknd. He said he's going to keep it PG because he talks a lot about like drugs and sex. If you listen to the Weeknd's music, he talks a whole lot about like drugs, beauty behind the madness. Like, are we going to get any of that? Leave your thoughts in the chat. Are we going to get any of that type of the Weeknd this weekend during the Super Bowl halftime performance? So I'm just curious about that. So moving on from the Super Bowl, we'll go to the NBA. We'll touch on the NBA really quick. And LeBron James and the Lakers. So the Lakers beat the Denver Nuggets really last night. LeBron James had a 25-point triple-double. I think he scored 27 in the game. And the man has scored 25 or more points 800 times, which is a record in the NBA. 25 or more points 800 times. I think they were saying during the broadcast, LeBron James has actually scored 25 or more points in over 60% of the games he's played in. He scored over 25 or more points in over 60% of the games that he's played in. Shout out to the Soul Man. He's talking about the Super Bowl. He believes the Chiefs are going to win. But let's focus back on LeBron James. LeBron James is someone who's considered a pass-first superstar. He's considered someone to not have a killer instinct. He is someone that's considered to not be like that, someone that can't go out and get you a bucket. That's what people say about LeBron James. That is literally what I've been hearing about LeBron James his entire career. But for his career, he averages just as many points as Kobe and shoots a higher percentage and shoots a higher three-point percentage than Michael Jordan. And he's got more 25-point games than anyone. He scored 25 or more points in 60% of his games. How is that? Like, how are you not a killer and you're able to do that? Like, you've been in the finals 10 times. You got the most playoff points, the most points in finals history, most points in NBA playoffs history. You got the most 25-point games in NBA history, but somehow you're still not a killer. Somehow you're still soft. Somehow you're still not that dude. Somehow you're still not the GOAT. I mean, come on, you guys. The Jordan stands and the LeBron haters are running out of ammunition because every day that he continues to play like LeBron James, every day he continues to show why he is the best to ever do it. Like, you're running out of ammo, guys. You're running out of excuses. You're running out of reasons for him being so great. It's so mind-blowing to me to not appreciate greatness. Not appreciate what LeBron is doing on the NBA court at all times, even at age 36 in year 18, going for his 5th championship, his 2nd with the Lakers, looking to repeat. And they're still the best team in the NBA. Brooklyn is, but don't sleep on Brooklyn. Brooklyn is my wild card because Brooklyn has 3 killers on their side of the court. I really like Brooklyn a lot. People are overblowing this defense mess. Yeah, they can't play defense. Okay, whatever. Defense is overrated in the NBA. That is what it is. Defense is overrated. Yeah, they can't play defense, but they have a winning record since they acquired James Harden. They can score 140 in regulation with ease. They score 140 without 140 points in a game regularly without overtime. That's how dangerous Brooklyn is. It's a really good team. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. So staying with LeBron James, staying with the Lakers, Anthony Davis's play this year kind of concerns me. Anthony Davis is not playing like the killer that I thought he would be after winning his first championship. Anthony Davis points, rebounds, everything is down across the board. It's all down. Now we're still in the first quarter of the season, so I'm not putting too much stock into it, but it is something that is a slight concern because he doesn't look aggressive. He only took 5 shots last night. He's not looking to get his shot, and it's looking like he's letting LeBron James, the 36-year-old, 18-year veteran, bail him out a lot of times, and I don't like that. I think he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to get his shots up. He needs to get his points up if the Lakers want any chance of beating that Brooklyn team. If they have any chance of beating Brooklyn, he's going to have to score some points. I don't think they can guard him, but most teams can't guard him, and his points per game are still down. So moving on. The NBA has decided they are going to have an all-star game. They're going to have an all-star game. Hold on. Before we get to the NBA all-star game, the Nets have a defense. Shout out to Swish God. The Nets have a defensive problem, which will mess them up when they get in the postseason. See, that sounds good. That sounds good. Theoretically, I would agree with you. In most cases, I would agree with you. But the Nets have Kevin Durant. The Nets have James Harden. And the Nets have Kyrie Irving. It'd be different if this was like a high-scoring team, like some of those Denver teams in the past that didn't have, they couldn't stop a nosebleed, but they didn't have these guys. But when you have Kevin Durant, when you have Kyrie Irving, when you have James Harden, I'm betting on that team more times than not, especially against teams like the defending Eastern Conference champions where the Heat, they're struggling. Hell, they might not even make the playoffs. Boston, really good team. Do I expect Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that the combination of those two with Brad Stevens, their head coach, to defeat James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving? No. That's the best. Do I expect Philly with Doc Rivers, Mr. Blow the 3-1 leads, to beat the Nets? With Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, who's now injury prone and still can't shoot a jumper, and Tobias Harris being your go-to guy in clutch moments? No. I'm picking the guys with the stars with rings. They're the only teams with stars with rings besides Toronto. Toronto don't got a chance in hell. But the only team in the Eastern Conference with their stars with hardware championship rings is Brooklyn. So I'm picking that team. That's why I think they'll come out the East. And that's why I think the Lakers and Anthony Davis going to have to get their stuff together. But anyway, the NBA is having an all-star game. It will be March 7th down in Hotlanta, ATL. The top vote getters right now in the NBA All-Star voting by the fans is LeBron James and Kevin Durant. LeBron James was asked about the All-Star game, and he did not sound too thrilled. He did not sound too thrilled about participating in All-Star Weekend this year. But more likely, he will, simply because he is the face of the NBA. The NBA cannot afford LeBron James skipping out on an All-Star game, but he did say he was tired and he wants to hang out with his family during that time, which, I mean, I get it, man. He says he has, quote, zero energy and zero enthusiasm for the All-Star game and calls the decision a slap in the face. So he calls the NBA deciding to have an All-Star game a slap in the face. And here's why he's saying that. It's because the NBA, obviously we know we're living in a global pandemic called COVID-19. And the NBA's All-Star game was originally scheduled to take place in Indianapolis. But they canceled the All-Star game. Because why? There's a global pandemic. But then, last minute, in the last like 2 weeks, they've decided, man, we kind of want an All-Star game. Because you know what? Corporate sponsors pay a lot of money when we have All-Star games, when we have skills competitions and dunk contests and three-point shootouts and All-Star festivities. Companies pay a lot of money to watch our guys get together and play basketball. Our stars of the stars, our best players, to all come together and play basketball. And we want to abide by our corporate sponsors. So guess what? we're going to put together a last-second All-Star game. And guess what? You got to come if you're selected. And guess what? If you don't, you get fined. So forget Indiana because, there is a global pandemic and most states are still shut down. But in Atlanta, Georgia, everything's open. As we learned from Courtside Karen, you can be courtside in games in Atlanta. Now, obviously, they're not filling the stadium to capacity, but you can be right on the court and talk so much smack with nobody in the building that the stars can hear you. That's what we found out from Courtside Karen. So, like Indiana's next. We're gonna put it together last second in March 7th in Atlanta. Our stars better show up. If they don't, they're fined. And guess what? It is what it is because this is what makes the world go round. De'Aaron Fox called the decision stupid. He said, man, this is stupid. This is coming from a young player. Young players are the ones who really get up the most for All-Star. Young players and veterans with kids. Young players that either never been selected or first-time selections. And he called the decision stupid. Now, he won't be an All-Star, but still, I feel him. It's like, man, this is dumb. We've already, think about all the things that the NBA has already dealt with so far this season. They've already had to postpone a number of games, and a lot of them probably won't be rescheduled. Like, they'll just eventually have them to be canceled because of different COVID outbreaks within the different teams. So they've already had to do that. They've already had to limit pregame handshakes, daps between teams. You can't do post-game jersey swaps. You have to wear the M19 mask on the bench. You can't wear your fancy designer mask anymore. You have to wear the M19 mask. And with all of those upgraded rules and regulations, they think it's the best idea to bring 12 guys from the East, 12 guys from the West, from different cities that play in different cities, and bring them all together over the course of, it has to be at least 2 or 3 days, right? The course of a couple days, and then send them all back to their respective cities. Them and their families, bring them all together, converge down to Atlanta because everything's open in Georgia. Let them do what they do, and then send them all back to their respective cities. That just doesn't sound like a very smart idea as far as like when you actually write it down and put it on paper. It's not very smart, but it's very smart when corporate sponsors and TV deals and all those kind of people are going to give you hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to do it. It's what works, man. It's what works. Is what takes place. This is how you make the world go around, by paying people a lot of money. And Adam Silver understands that the cap and everything's taking a hit because of the pandemic. Arenas are only filling up to 20% capacity, depending on what city you're in, 15% capacity. They need the money to make their league run. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're used to the NBA probably has like $1 billion budget, right? A $2 billion budget or whatever. And you're going to get like 900 million. So when you're used to running on like $1 billion budget or $1.5 billion budget, and you're going to get like 750, 800, maybe 900 million, you're penny pinching at this point. You're penny pinching. You're counting every dollar. You're keeping up with every statistic, every number. And if it's like, hey, man, we need to get a couple more pennies. By pennies, I mean a couple more $1 million, $100 million extra. Let's have this All-Star weekend. Just, damn it. We'll be hypocrites to the press. We'll take the slap in the face by a couple players like LeBron and De'Aaron Fox and others. But there'll be people at that All-Star game happy because it'll be their first one. Guys like Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics. It'll be his first All-Star game. He's going to make it. It'll be his first All-Star game. Bradley Beal right now is one of the lead vote getters. He'll be a starter for the first time. He'll be down there. You're going to be a starter for the first time. You'll be down there. You make the All-Star team for the first time. You'll be down there. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be some players very excited. So they'll take the good with the bad. It's like they think the good outweighs the bad as far as like players being excited about being there. Obviously, the veterans don't care about there, especially a veteran like LeBron. You just played in the bubble away from your family. You had the shortest offseason in sports history, all the major sports, shortest offseason in sports history. You haven't missed a game, and you've gotten your team on pace to be the 1 seed again. And now you got to do this. Now you got to do this. It's like, nah, man. So, of course, he's going to be mad. But, hey, the NBA, it don't care. They don't care. But the best case scenario, like I said, is you take the good with the bad. Everybody stays healthy. They go down to Atlanta. They play the game. They do the dunk contest, three-point shootout, all that stuff. And everybody goes home, and they be happy and goes home healthy, and everything's good. The worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, is you get all these people down there in a compact area, all these NBA people, and an outbreak take place. Guys go home, go back to their respective cities, go back to their respective teams, and there's an outbreak throughout the league. Not just like one team at a time, like it's been. It's normally been just like one team, maybe two teams. But now it's like 4, 5, 6 teams because you have a bunch of all-stars from different teams. Shout out to Tyler Miller, man. Shout out to my dog, Tyler Miller. For some reason, my computer's frozen. But, yeah, that's the absolute worst-case scenario for the NBA. That is the nightmare situation, but it's a very real one. And one thing that I am interested in, though, since it looks like this All-Star game is going to take place, you know that the All-Star changed their format a little bit ago about the lead vote getters get to pick their teams, right? Like LeBron, it's been LeBron versus Giannis the last couple of years, but it looks like this year it'll be LeBron versus Kevin Durant. And it's going to be funny and very interesting to see Kevin Durant picking an All-Star team against LeBron James. Leave your thoughts in the chat on this. Yeah, like I said, I see it's Tyler said, I see the league having to pause due to contract tracing. And that's the thing. Like when you get all these guys together, there is going to be some sort of contact tracing. You just hope that it's not widespread. You just hope that they don't have to pause for very long and it's not a complete outbreak because there's multiple players on different teams and then they've been around their teammates and their coaches and all that. Like it has potential to be a huge disaster because of this, makeshift all-star game that they put together last second. So, but the picking, be sure to hit the like, share, subscribe. The picking of players, LeBron versus KD, that is going to be something worth watching. Now, they televised it last year, and we saw Giannis's strategy was to get like the underdog players, the players that nobody considered, like not the star of stars. LeBron went clutch sports and kind of his buddies, and Giannis went like with some underdog type players, and that's what cost him the game, honestly. KD ain't doing that. KD, now Giannis, when he played the game, he wanted to win. He played very hard. If they would have won, he probably would have won MVP. KD ain't going for that. KD is going to pick the best players available. He'll probably pick the Nets players at the beginning simply because, they're that good. And he's going to pick the best players available because he hates being second to LeBron. He's probably going to be second in voting. It's probably going to eat him up. He hates losing to LeBron. And you remember when KD years ago did that whole article in ESPN and magazine and Sports Illustrated? How he's like, I do this, I do that, and I'm always second to LeBron James. I was second pick in the draft. I was second in this, I was second in that. It's like, nah. He is going to pick a team, and he is going to look to obliterate LeBron James's team. He wants to he don't want it. Not only does he want to win, he wants to blow them out because he wants to send a message to the league that, hey, I'm Kevin Durant, I'm back, and I'm here to dominate. I'm here to put you and your favorite team and your favorite player out of its misery. And so that is the approach I believe Kevin Durant is going to take. And it's a lot better approach than what Giannis took. It's all about the Benjamins for the NBA. You're absolutely right. It's totally different than the approach that Giannis took. Giannis took the underdog. Giannis took a lot of foreign players. Giannis took a bunch of guys that he wanted to be friends with or whatever. Kevin Durant's like, man, I'm taking the dogs, and we're going to win. We are going to win. You're absolutely right. KD is picking to win, and he doesn't care about feelings. He's been out to kill the whole season, averaging 30, coming off an Achilles. Been killing it. Super efficient. The other night had 28 on 11 of 13 shooting. Super efficient. So yeah, I'm surely they're giving the reason. So here's the thing. So given the option to opt out of the weekend as they did for the rest of last season. So here's the thing. From what I've read, now I've seen the memo in part, but All-Star isn't like the season. There isn't going to be an option to opt out. There isn't. That's a good point. Shout out to Molly Millie. There isn't going to be. So Molly Millie's saying, I'm sure they're giving them an option to opt out of the game. No, because in their mind, if you're playing the season, then you've opted into the season. So if the fans have voted you to be in the All-Star game, or if you've been selected as an All-Star, you don't get to opt out unless you have an injury. Now, if we all of a sudden see some mysterious injuries on either side of the ball on certain teams, like LeBron James all of a sudden gets a bad hamstring, can't play in the game, that's different. But unless you have an injury, you can't miss All-Star game. If you're selected, and like the NFL and the Pro Bowl, they allow players to opt out and not play or whatever. NBA is not like that. You actually get fined if you don't play in its All-Star game. You actually get fined if you do not play in the All-Star game. It's all about the Benjamins for the NBA. They'll probably have the players sign a COVID-19 waiver. Yeah, all of that. So they don't have to do that. That's the thing. Like fans and stuff have to do things like that. But the NBA, how it works is you have the NBA, the association, and the team of owners, and I almost said Roger Goodell, Adam Silver, and he represents that group. And then you have the NBAPA, which is the Players Association, their union. That is how they come to the agreement. So whatever the union agrees to, they don't need a waiver. Once the union and the NBA, the NBAPA, which is the union, and the NBA come to an agreement, that is their waiver. That's a binding contract. They don't have to get individual players to sign waivers because their union agreed to the rules and stipulations. And the union has already agreed to playing an All-Star game on March 7th. So they don't have to make them sign COVID-19 waivers. Once you opted into the season, that was your waiver. You opted into the season. So therefore, if you're selected to an All-Star game, you have to play. That's how the NBA works. They have a really strong union. And the reason why they probably opted in, because it impacts salary. And I can go on and on that, but I know that'll bore you to death. Ignorant for the way the leagues to make money by putting their players' health in jeopardy. Yeah, I mean, but they're also playing sports. And to not allow them to opt out is kind of crazy. But what is it like? What is an NBA All-Star game if LeBron James decides to opt out? It's not the same. What is an NBA? He's the lead vote getter. He's the top vote getter. What is an NBA All-Star game if Kevin Durant decides to opt out? It's not the same. The fans literally are voting for them to get in. And not only voting for them to get in, they're the top vote getters. So you can't have your biggest stars missing from your All-Star game. Like I said, it's different from the NFL because they allow their stars to not play. The NBA is like, no, we're a star-driven league. Nobody's going to watch if LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis decide to opt out, whether the health's in jeopardy or not. How you feel about that? We don't care. That's all I got today, guys. Thank you all for tuning in to the Victory Formation Sports Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Like, share, subscribe. It's Super Bowl Sunday, so enjoy yourself. Be responsible. Be healthy. And have a good time. Enjoy. And we'll come back Monday to talk about the Chiefs versus the Bucks and who are the Super Bowl 55 champions. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsey. I'm Jeff Lightsey Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at JLightsey7. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next